Greetings, educators, and welcome back. Today, my topic is vocabulary enrichment and enriching students' vocabulary through the Phonics word wall chant. First, I'd like to take you to Marva Collins on Wikipedia. If you type in Marva Collins Wikipedia into your search engine, click on the link, scroll down to the bottom of the first page where it says external links, click on official website. You will see what was once Marva Collins' official website.
I'm Marva Collins. I've been teaching for more than 45 years, including 14 years in public schools and more than 30 years in my own school, Marva Collins Preparatory School. I teach children as young as 4 how to read in just 3 months. I have done that every year since I opened my school in 1975. Every year, no exceptions ever. What's more, I instill in each child a love of reading and of learning. The logo at the top of this page describes my program. My students raise their hands because they're eager to participate in class. What's more, each child is obviously reaching for something, his or her own future. The logo illustrates their excitement. I believe that all children are born achievers until someone convinces them that they cannot learn. Read on, you'll learn why and how my program works. Certainly, you can do it too. Contact me and I will show you how you and your child together can reach even greater academic heights.
At the top of her web page, may she rest in peace, are different tabs. I'd like to draw your attention to her program. Now, of course, at your own time, please read everything because there is so much invaluable information that she has here for us to read and to continue to learn from. But I would like to draw your attention to the third paragraph that talks about vocabulary enrichment, where she states that before beginning any reading selection, she first pre-reads the selection and extracts all of the difficult words that she thinks her students will struggle with. She'll name those words words to watch, and those become the vocabulary words for the class to learn. Also, every student must be able to pronounce, spell, and know the meaning of these words prior to starting the reading in class so that the students won't get frustrated when they're reading, and they can also understand what the passage or story is trying to teach them. In my class, this is what I do. I'm basing this off of the video that I have of Marva Collins teaching her phonics program to teachers. I've been asked to post that video, and I would love to. I'm just not sure about the copyright laws. But as a disclaimer, I have studied that video, and I have gotten what I do as close as I can to what Marva Collins did do. So here it is. When I introduce vocabulary words, it's only after I teach the initial 55 lessons from the original Open Court Phonics program, which is free and online. I go back through the sounds every day. After those 55 lessons have been taught, I don't just stop the phonics chants. We continue the phonics chants, but with a different slant. This time with vocabulary words used from stories that I'm going to present to the class. As you can see, I inserted text boxes above each word wall card on my PowerPoint presentation, and I put in vocabulary words or words to watch from that story that I believe my students may struggle with. Some cards have one word, some cards have more than one. So here's an example of the chant using vocabulary words. Dash, dash, duh, duh, duh. Single D says duh. Block E, dessert. Single E says E. E blank E says E. E says E. A says E. Two-syllable Y says E. And IE says E. Figured, f, f, f. Single F says f. PH says f. Blank GH says f. That's how I would chant with my students. Again, the chant is call and response. The words or the cards that have 2 words, I only introduce 1 word at a time. And then the next word when I feel that the first word is understood by my students. I will stop after 3 word wall cards are presented before I go to the next slide. And I will teach what those words mean to the whole class when I'm initially presenting these words. So I might say, students, dash means to run quickly, or dash means to sprinkle a little bit of seasoning in your food or put something small into a dish as an ingredient. And then we might come up with a hand gesture. If dash means to run, we might pretend like we're running as we're sitting in place with our hands moving like we're running. And that way the students can understand the vocabulary word meaning. Now, at the end of my chants with the students, when everything has been gone over, I will maybe pick out 2 or 3 words to use as word work. While the students are still on the carpet in front of me, close to the board, I will write down a word. So let's say it is dashed. I would write the short A with a breathe over it to show that it's the A sound. And then I would say sound, and the students would say the sound of the A. And then I would write the D. And then I would say, point to that D and say sound, and they would say duh. And then I would write SH after the short A, and I would point to it and ask sound, and the students would say shh. And then I would trace under the entire word and say word, and the students would have to read dash. Okay, and then I would do that with dessert or dessert and figured. After we finish that, maybe 2 or 3 words of the words that we use from the vocabulary, I would go over some of the review words that are presented in the word lines of the original Open Course Phonics program, just so they won't lose sight of those basic sound chunks. After that, I would dismiss the students to their seats to get out their dry erase boards and markers. And then I would ask them to repeat after me. I might say dash, and then they would repeat dash. I would say, okay, students, tap it out. Ash, dash. Then I would say write, and the students would write the word dash or attempt to write the word dash on their dry erase board. I'll know that everyone is finished because they're sitting back in eyes and hands position, which simply means their hands are crossed, they're looking at me, and they're silent. Then I would write dash on the board, and they could check their answers. If they spell the word wrong, they would correct it. If they spell the word right, I would say give yourself a pat on the back, or give yourself a silent celebration, or give yourself a star next to the word, and we would move on to the next word. Now, this would take me about a week, every day presenting 3 new words, every day talking about what the words mean, and then after 4 or 5 days, present the story or the informational passage. So I might present something on Friday or Monday, depending upon when I start my vocabulary enrichment. Now, day 1 of the phonics chant would take a little longer, maybe day 1 and 2, because I am actually teaching them what the words mean. But day 3 and 4, I would go through the chants And then I would stop and maybe call on a random student. Okay, Johnny, what does grumpy mean? And Johnny would explain what he remembers grumpy means. And if Johnny doesn't remember, I would ask Johnny to call on one of his classmates to help him. And that way, Johnny could get someone else involved, and Johnny may not feel embarrassed about not knowing what the word means because his classmates are so willing to help him remember. And that's how I present, based on Marva Collins' video that I have, vocabulary words or words to watch before a story or an informational passage is taught to the class and presented and read by the students. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment box and I will respond.